Why does Conor McGregor need 5 different phone numbers when most people can barely manage one? The answer involves secrets so dangerous that even his closest friends don't know about them. Picture this: it's 11:30 p.m. in Dublin, and Conor McGregor sits in his private study, surrounded by luxury that most people can only dream of. But spread across his mahogany desk aren't trophies or business documents, they're 5 different smartphones, each one representing a completely different aspect of his life that the public has never seen. Each phone has its own number, its own contacts, its own encrypted messaging systems, and most importantly, its own secrets that could change everything if they ever became public. The discovery of Conor's multiple phone system wasn't intentional. It happened during a routine security audit conducted by his team in late 2023, when they realized that tracking his communications for protection purposes was nearly impossible because he was operating multiple parallel communication networks simultaneously. What they found shocked even his most trusted advisors and revealed a level of compartmentalization in Conor's life that suggests he's been living not just a double life, but potentially 5 completely separate lives. Dr. Sarah Chen, a cybersecurity expert who has worked with governments and Fortune 500 companies, was brought in to analyze Conor's communication security. What she discovered about his phone usage patterns defied everything she knew about how people typically manage their personal and professional lives. Most high-profile individuals have maybe 2 phones, one for personal use and one for business, Dr. Chen explains. But Conor's system is unlike anything I've seen. Each phone serves a completely different purpose, and the level of security and isolation between them suggests he's protecting information that goes far beyond typical celebrity privacy concerns. But before we reveal what each phone contains, you need to understand how Conor developed this complex system and why he felt it was necessary to compartmentalize his life in such an extreme way. The need for multiple phones began in 2018, following a series of incidents that made Conor realize his standard communication methods were being monitored, intercepted, and potentially compromised by parties unknown. The first warning came when details from private business conversations started appearing in tabloid newspapers before deals were even finalized. Initially, Conor and his team assumed they had a leak within their organization, someone who was selling information to the media for money. But as they investigated further, they discovered something much more troubling: sophisticated electronic surveillance that was capturing his communications in real time. The level of surveillance we detected was beyond what typical paparazzi or tabloid journalists would have access to, explains Marcus O'Brien, Conor's former head of security. This was professional-grade interception equipment, the kind used by intelligence agencies and major corporations for industrial espionage. The realization that his communications were being monitored by unknown parties with significant resources forced Conor to completely rethink how he managed information in his personal and professional life. The solution he developed was radical: create completely separate communication networks for different aspects of his life, making it nearly impossible for any single surveillance operation to capture the full picture of his activities. The 5-phone system was born out of necessity, but it quickly became something much more complex and strategic. But here's where the story gets really interesting, because what Conor uses each phone for reveals secrets about his life that would shock even his most dedicated fans. Phone number 1, the public face. The first phone is what Dr. Chen calls the decoy, the number that Conor's publicists give to media outlets, business associates who aren't in his inner circle, and anyone who needs to reach him for routine professional matters. This phone handles interview requests, appearance bookings, endorsement discussions, and general business inquiries. But here's the genius part: Conor rarely answers this phone himself. It's managed by a team of assistants and publicists who screen every call and message. The phone serves as a buffer between Conor and the outside world, creating the impression that he's accessible while actually maintaining complete control over who can actually reach him. The public phone is essentially a corporate communication center, Dr. Chen explains. It handles hundreds of calls and messages daily, but Conor himself probably only sees about 5% of that traffic. It's brilliant in its simplicity: everyone thinks they have his number, but they're really just talking to his media machine. Phone number 2, the inner circle. The second phone is reserved for family members, childhood friends, and the small group of people Conor trusts completely. This includes his children when they're old enough to have phones, his parents, his siblings, and perhaps a dozen other people who have been part of his life since before fame changed everything. This phone uses military-grade encryption and is regularly swept for surveillance devices or hacking attempts. Conversations on this line cover everything from family dinners and personal relationships to genuinely private moments that never make it to social media or public appearances. The family phone is where you see the real Conor, reveals a source close to the family. The conversations are about normal things, kids' school events, family vacations, personal struggles, and the kind of intimate discussions that every family has but celebrities usually can't because they're always being watched. Phone number 3, the money machine. The third phone is dedicated exclusively to high-level business operations, deals worth millions of dollars, investment opportunities, merger discussions, and financial strategies. This is where Conor conducts conversations with investment bankers, major business partners, and the people who help manage and grow his expanding empire. The security on this phone is even more sophisticated than the family line, with conversations recorded and encrypted for legal protection, and access logs that track exactly who called when and for how long. Every conversation is treated as potentially valuable intellectual property that needs to be protected from competitors and corporate espionage. Recent analysis of this phone's usage reveals that Conor is involved in business negotiations and investment discussions that go far beyond what the public knows about. We're talking about deals that could reshape entire industries and partnerships with people whose names never appear in business magazines but who control vast amounts of global wealth. But the most shocking revelations come from phones 4 and 5. Phone number 4, the underground network. This is where the story takes a dark turn that reveals aspects of Conor's life that even his closest associates don't fully understand. Phone number 4 connects Conor to what intelligence experts describe as gray area contacts, people who operate in the spaces between legal and illegal, between legitimate business and underground economies. These contacts include information brokers who provide intelligence about competitors, fixers who can solve problems that normal legal channels can't address, and individuals with connections to organizations that most people would be afraid to associate with. Phone 4 is for conversations that Conor never wants to have officially happened, explains a former intelligence operative familiar with similar communication systems. These are the calls about situations that require solutions that aren't available through normal channels. The content of these conversations reportedly includes discussions about competitive intelligence, reputation management that goes beyond normal PR work, and problem-solving strategies that involve people with very specialized skills and very flexible moral boundaries. But here's what makes this even more shocking: Phone 4 isn't just about receiving services from these underground contacts. Analysis suggests that Conor has become a significant player in these networks himself, providing information, resources, and connections to other high-profile individuals who need the same kind of gray area solutions to their problems. Phone number 5, the nuclear option. The fifth phone is what cybersecurity experts call the nuclear option, a communication channel reserved for the most sensitive and potentially dangerous conversations in Conor's life. This phone reportedly has only about a dozen numbers programmed into it, and each one connects him to people who have the power to change his life dramatically, for better or worse. These contacts include individuals who know secrets about Conor's past that could destroy his reputation if they became public, people who have evidence of activities that could result in legal consequences, and most troubling of all, individuals who represent organizations that are powerful enough to affect his safety and the safety of his family. But the nuclear phone isn't just about managing threats and vulnerabilities. Intelligence analysis suggests that Conor uses this line to communicate with people who are helping him build leverage against his potential enemies, gathering information, documenting evidence, and developing strategies that would allow him to destroy anyone who tried to destroy him. And here's the most disturbing part of all: recent activity on Phone 5 suggests that Conor has been preparing for some kind of major confrontation or revelation that could change everything about his public image and business empire. Before we continue with this shocking revelation about Conor's secret communications network, make sure you're subscribed to Notorious Stories and hit that like button. We dive deep into the most shocking and untold stories of Conor McGregor's life, from his biggest victories to his most challenging moments. Drop a comment below and let us know, what other Conor McGregor secrets would you like us to investigate? The truth about the notorious one is always more fascinating than what you see in the headlines. The complexity of Conor's 5-phone system goes beyond just organizing different types of conversations. Each phone operates on different networks, uses different encryption protocols, and is managed by different security teams who don't have access to the other phones. This compartmentalization means that even if one communication channel is compromised, the others remain secure. But the real genius of the system is psychological as much as technological. By separating different aspects of his life into different communication channels, Conor can mentally compartmentalize information and relationships in ways that most people can't achieve. He can be a loving family man on phone 2, a ruthless businessman on phone 3, and something much darker on phones 4 and 5, all while maintaining psychological separation between these different identities. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a psychologist who specializes in high-stress individuals and compartmentalized behavior, explains that this level of communication separation usually only appears in people who are managing extreme levels of complexity and risk in their lives. The 5-phone system isn't just about privacy or security, Dr. Walsh observes. It's about creating psychological boundaries that allow someone to operate in multiple worlds simultaneously without the cognitive dissonance that would normally destroy most people's mental health. But the system also creates vulnerabilities that Conor may not fully understand. The biggest risk in Conor's communication system isn't technological, it's human. Each phone requires trusted intermediaries, security specialists, and technical support staff who have access to sensitive information. The more people who know about the system, the more potential points of failure. In 2024, Conor's security team discovered that one of the technical specialists responsible for maintaining Phone 3's encryption had been secretly copying transaction records and conversation logs. The specialist had been selling this information to competitors who were using it to anticipate Conor's business moves and undercut his negotiations. The betrayal was devastating not just because of the financial losses, but because it revealed how vulnerable even the most sophisticated security systems can be to human weakness and greed. But the most shocking discovery came when they investigated how the technical specialist had been recruited and by whom. The investigation revealed that the breach of Phone 3 wasn't an opportunistic crime by a greedy employee. It was part of a coordinated intelligence operation designed to gather information about Conor's business activities, financial strategies, and personal relationships. The technical specialist had been approached months earlier by people claiming to represent a rival business interest, but the investigation uncovered connections to much more sophisticated actors, potentially including foreign intelligence services who were interested in Conor's international business activities and political connections. The level of sophistication and resources involved in this operation suggests that Conor has become a target for state-level intelligence gathering, explains cybersecurity expert Dr. Chen. His business empire, international connections, and influence make him valuable to organizations that operate far beyond the world of sports and entertainment. The realization that hostile intelligence services might be targeting his communications forced Conor to completely restructure his phone security once again, implementing countermeasures that are typically only used by heads of state and major military commanders. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the investigation was what they discovered about Phone 5. The security breach investigation revealed that Phone 5, the nuclear option, had been operating on a completely different level of security than even Conor's team had realized. The phone was using encryption protocols and security measures that suggested it was connected to intelligence networks operated by government agencies. Further investigation revealed that Phone 5 wasn't just protected by advanced security, it was potentially being monitored and supported by intelligence agencies who had their own interests in protecting Conor's most sensitive communications. The level of security on Phone 5 suggests that Conor's most dangerous conversations are being protected by people with resources that go far beyond private security companies, explains a former intelligence operative. This kind of protection usually comes with expectations and obligations that most civilians don't fully understand. The implications are staggering. If Conor's most sensitive communications are being protected by intelligence agencies, it suggests that his activities and connections have national security implications that extend far beyond sports and business. But it also raises troubling questions about what obligations Conor might have to these protective agencies and what information he might be providing in exchange for their protection. Today, Conor's 5-phone system continues to evolve and adapt to new threats and opportunities. Recent upgrades include quantum encryption technology, satellite communication capabilities, and artificial intelligence systems that can detect and counter surveillance attempts in real time. But the human element remains both the system's greatest strength and its most dangerous vulnerability. The small group of people who know about all 5 phones represent both Conor's most trusted allies and his most dangerous potential enemies. The psychological impact of maintaining 5 separate communication identities continues to shape how Conor operates in both his public and private life. Friends and family members report that he sometimes seems to forget which phone he's using and which version of himself he's supposed to be in different conversations. Living 5 different lives simultaneously is taking a toll, observes someone close to the family. Conor is brilliant at compartmentalization, but the cognitive load of managing all these different identities and relationships is enormous. Sometimes you can see the strain it's putting on him. The financial cost of maintaining the 5-phone system exceeds $500,000 annually, including security specialists, encryption technology, network fees, and counter-surveillance measures. But for Conor, this investment isn't just about protecting his privacy, it's about maintaining the operational security that allows him to build and protect an empire that operates on multiple levels simultaneously. The 5 phones represent more than just communication tools, they're symbols of the complexity and danger inherent in operating at Conor's level of wealth, fame, and influence. Each phone connects him to a different world, each with its own rules, dangers, and opportunities. Most people struggle to manage the complexity of a single smartphone and the social media accounts, business communications, and personal relationships it contains. Conor has created a system that allows him to operate 5 completely separate digital identities simultaneously, each one managing relationships and information that could change the course of his life and career. The 5-phone system proves that the public Conor McGregor, the trash-talking fighter who loves expensive cars and luxury lifestyles, is just one facet of a much more complex individual who operates in worlds that most people can't even imagine. Behind the public persona lies a man who has built communication networks that rival those used by intelligence agencies, who maintains relationships with people who operate in the gray areas between legal and illegal, and who has access to information and resources that extend far beyond anything visible in his public life. The question that remains unanswered is whether Conor controls these 5 different worlds, or whether the complexity of managing them is slowly changing him into something that even he doesn't fully recognize. If you enjoyed this incredible story of hidden communications and secret identities, make sure you're subscribed to Notorious Stories and hit that like button. We dive deep into the most shocking and untold stories of Conor McGregor's life, from his biggest victories to his most challenging moments. Drop a comment below and let us know, what other Conor McGregor secrets would you like us to investigate? The truth about the Notorious One is always more fascinating than what you see in the headlines.